If you have your financial independence, it gives you the freedom to follow all your passions.
You've mentioned that you've been in a financial leadership position, you've mentioned that you've been an entrepreneur, and you have a creative Kida in you also. How do you manage all these things at the same time?
Generally, women are multifaceted. It's just an opportunity to sort of give life to each of these facets.
What made you leave all this behind and start Lakshmi?
25 years being in financial services and realizing that women are not a part of it led me to set up Lakshmi. It has taken us 3 years to build a community of women where the culture is embedded very deeply, where women feel that Lakshmi is their own. If this is your dream home, it's a dream car, or your child's dream university, don't leave it at a dream. Now you have a path to achieving it.
Yeah.
Our first milestone is to have 100 million women manage their money. And when 100 million women take charge of their money, it's 400 to 500 million Indians that are impacted.
Wow. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Happy Hour with Fin Cocktail. Today we have with us the founder of Lakshmi and one of the foremost ladies championing the cause of financial freedom for women. Preeti Rathi Gupta comes with over 2 decades of experience in the financial services industry. Throughout her career, she's held many leadership positions. She's been an MD at Anand Rathi and is the founder of Ishka Films. She's an alumni of Harvard Business School and has been instrumental in setting up the currency and forex desk at Anand Rathi. So please welcome Preeti Rathi Gupta. Welcome to the show, Preeti. I'm so glad that you could make it.
It's a pleasure and super excited for this conversation.
Same. So, I've read about your journey and I know that it's a very interesting one where, you got married at a very early age, I believe 19, after which you did your graduation, your post-graduation, became the MD at Anand Rathi, went on to, start your own production company and then sort of founded Lakshmi. How did all of this happen and how do you sort of see yourself in this situation where you've broken so many stereotypes and, sort of women have this thing in their heads that once you're married, then life changes. How would you like to address that?
So, when I started, I think when I got married, the aim wasn't to make an interesting life journey. Hindsight, it all seems very interesting. But I think what was always there was my North Star of being financially independent and being financially secure. I think that, thanks to my father, that was a very deep rooted orientation. And that was something that always egged me on. And I think as an individual, I've always felt that, I love challenges. Um, I don't find them daunting, I find them exciting. And which is why I think this journey was possible, doing it the way I did. Um, for me, beginning a financial services company, which I founded along with my father and my husband 30 years back, it was an amalgamation of all my learnings. I was 16. My father sent me to intern with my uncle, who was a stockbroker. He would call me to his office to manage our family portfolios. So that was already part of, I knew it. It's like swimming. Once you know it, and you know this better, that once you have, financial literacy, it doesn't go away. It just exists. So one was that, and the second was just the inherent desire to be an entrepreneur. So even before we came together to form Anand Rathi, I'd actually put my hand up to set up a stockbroking company for my husband, because he came from textiles and he was, this was the time when everybody wanted to be in the
Stock markets.
and I said, it's going to be exciting. I can set up the company. I know the business. I still remember we were in this tiny office in Fort, which used to traditionally, all the offices used to have these mezzanine floors.
Yeah.
And I used to sit on that mezzanine floor and do institutional trades. We had a National Stock Exchange membership, and I'd set up that business. And finally, when my father, he
And
was
this
working.
was with your husband.
I set it up for my husband actually, and he was still very actively in the textiles business. But this business obviously grew so large that, he also sort of got very interested. And then my father, who was working with the Birlas, said, I want to, he started his own venture. And then he said, look, I think we should come together and set up a company because, the stockbroking piece is what you guys already do. And he wanted to do financial consulting. So that's how Anand Rathi happened. So by that time, I think it was very clear to me that this is where my heart lies.
It's a calling.
It is a calling. Capital markets, financial markets, that's something that I really enjoy. So that's how the journey started. And then, of course, over a period of time, I've always felt that if you have your financial independence, it gives you the freedom to follow all your passions, professional, personal, everything. The film company happened because of a personal passion. And it was more like a dedication to my mother, who was, I think I get my, artistic, creative genes from her. So that's how that happened. And I think 25 years being in financial services and painfully realizing that women are not a part of it, led me to set up Lakshmi.
Okay.
So I think it's sort of a mix of, inherently I'm an entrepreneur. I love these challenges and I think I love solving problems, and financial markets are like the deep sea that I really enjoy. So that's how.
Great. So, in this entire little piece of information that you've given us, you've mentioned that you've been in a financial leadership position, you've mentioned that you've been an entrepreneur, and you have a creative Kida in you also. How do you manage all these things at the same time?
I feel generally women are multifaceted. It's just an opportunity to sort of, give life to each of these facets of ours. There is a discipline required, I will not deny, when you want to do anything in life, especially as a woman, and I'm not hinting at work life balance. I'm just saying that inherently we like being, if I'm a mother, then I want to be a present mother. I want to be a present wife. I want to be a present daughter in law. And yet I want to excel at what I want to do. So there is a discipline that one requires to do all of this. The beauty of all of this actually is that, it feeds off each other.
Yeah.
I remember when I set up my film company, creativity, of course, was there, but that entire ecosystem lacked the financial acumen. I still remember when I went and told my family that I want to set up a film company, I want to make films. The biggest worry in their mind was, this is a field that is not very professional. We've heard horror stories about budgets going all over the place. And I said, okay, if that is the problem statement, that I know how to efficiently solve, right?
Yeah.
So when I made my first film, I actually got a audit system set up where every day we would know by the end of the day whether we've gone over budget even by 20 rupees or we are under budget by whatever amount, right?
Wow.
So that enabled us to manage those budgets. So my financial acumen obviously helped a lot in setting up the film company and, making films. But in the film world, when I was with people who had the ability to think, so, we say out of the box, but when I met them, I was like, my God, like how that freedom of thought,
Yeah.
right? That is what I have actually been able to bring back to Lakshmi, for example. Everybody said, oh, why a financial platform for women? Or women will not come to a platform, or they will not want, they are not keen to manage money. All of that, right? Because the industry has been trying to solve for it. But that's where being creative about solving a problem, I think I've got from the film world.
Film part.
So I feel it's been a blessing in disguise in a way where, there's so much that I've learned from each space that has helped me to build on the other space.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And like I can totally resonate because when we started Fin Cocktail, it was also like we didn't know how many people were actually going to listen to us. We didn't know if this was going to sort of reach where it's reached and if we'd even have an audience.
Right.
But we were just like, if we think that our own friends need help, then, let's just do this. If nothing, at least our friends will listen.
Yeah.
Friends, family, close people, at least they'll listen. So I totally understand where you're coming from and how creativity is a very big part in sort of, appealing to the larger masses and
You know
audiences.
it.
Yeah.
Because you do it very creatively. So
Yeah.
you understand how to bring that creativity to finance.
Absolutely. I also know that you've been instrumental in setting up the commodities and currency desk at Anand Rathi. How did that happen?
Well, like I said, I love challenges. And I think by 2002 3, the the capital markets, which is your stock markets, had actually become very mature and also fairly pure vanilla. And for me, it was like I have nothing new to add value to. And that was also the time that the commodity futures markets opened up
Yeah.
in India. So they were banned for the longest time. And then the government regulation came in where they said, okay, we will, allow the forwards markets, the futures markets to now come onto an exchange. And I thought it was very exciting. I mean, imagine like you've done the Reliance, you've done the Infosys, you've done all of that, but now you want to do wheat and rice and spice and,
Yeah.
all of that, right? And it was also very challenging because
It's like
it's a
learning
very
everything from scratch, right? It's nothing to do with the stock markets.
that, and also it was a very unorganized and fragmented market.
Correct.
So there was, if I, for example, wanted to go and see what has been the historical price trend of chili, and where is it traded, how much is traded, who buys it, sort of supply as well as demand, all of that, there was no structured sort of data available on it. So in that sense, it was like, okay, you have to sort of get all of that unorganized market together and get it onto a platform. Also, these markets, they are all over the country.
Yeah.
So there is a jeera market in Unja,
Yeah.
the wheat markets in Punjab, and then there is added, of course, the precious metals, gold and silver, and then there is, crude oil.
Yeah.
So commodities was just a very vast gamut. But because it was just starting, and the opportunity to actually create value there was just so compelling,
Yeah.
that I said, this is something that I can do,
Yeah.
and it adds value.
Okay.
By that time in Anand Rathi, we already had close to, we were present in about 3,000 locations in the country.
Wow.
So that
And
network
this is back in what,
2000
2006, 7?
This was 2003.
3. Okay.
So the network was already there. So we knew that we had the railroads to now build the whole commodity futures piece on it.
Yeah.
That's how it started. Of course, the first 2 years were very interesting because, imagine going to like what they call the mandi
Yeah.
of any commodity.
Yeah.
And typically a mandi setup was that people would come in a common space. It could be sometimes under a tree, to just sort of buy and sell commodities with each other.
Yeah.
And then you go from like an organized market and you say, hey, I've come here to help you hedge or to trade on a platform. It took 2 years to really go to each of these locations, do awareness, literacy, and different languages. I come from a Hindi speaking home, but the kind of Hindi I've had to speak when you go to these markets,
Yeah.
financial Hindi
Yeah.
was just, it was
Something that you
exhilarating
would-
but
yeah.
challenging. And it
Yeah.
was, I would listen to myself later on and say, oh, did I say that? But I think that was a very interesting phase. But within the first 2 years, I think when we started, in my head, I knew that we wanted to be the largest commodity broker in the country.
Wow.
And we did achieve that.
Amazing.
Took me time personally, again, as a woman, to go into these mandis where men refused to speak to me initially.
Yeah. That's
but-
another challenge.
Absolutely. And also these are people who've been trading cotton or chili or, guar gum for ages.
Yeah.
Their predecessors have been trading.
Yeah.
So obviously they, in their minds, and rightly so, they were like, we know this really well.
Yeah. Why?
Like, who
why
are
you
you
here?
to come
Yeah.
and teach us, right? But all we wanted to sort of show them was that you can use this platform now for price discovery. And if you're selling to people who come to you, you can actually, this is a platform which will give you outreach.
Right.
So if you're growing guar gum in Rajasthan, or if you're a trader of guar gum in Rajasthan, you could actually have somebody from Chennai or somebody from Kashmir come and buy it from you, right?
Absolutely.
But it was amazing, and the markets really took off. We started in 2004-5, and by 2007 and 8, it was a, exponentially growing market.
Wow, interesting. So, what made you leave all this behind and start Lakshmi?
Well,
I know
like I
it's a
said,
very, it's I've asked this question very simply, but I'm sure that it's a
so
very, very,
I'll go back to my North Star:
yeah,
opportunity and challenge.
yeah.
I think these are the two things that have led me to Lakshmi as well. Um, Being part of financial markets, you realize that, and you know this as well, that women have always been left out. Um, it is a mix of both. One, the entire industry doesn't talk to women. All the communication is targeted towards the behavior of men. Money management is a behavioral science. So I think unknowingly women have been left out by them. But also women
Choose not to be a part of it.
but also women don't want to make that, have always sort of shied away of saying, okay, should I be a part of it? Because all this communication that's coming to me, I don't understand it and it's too much for me. Investing was always made to sound like some sort of an art, whereas I think what we wanted to do was break it down and say it is not. It's very simple. Anybody can do it. You just need to know how to personalize it for yourself. And then there was the huge opportunity. Today we are, half our country, 600 million. And for, I think, the first time in history, we are more women than men in this country.
Yeah.
So more than half our country is women. They are already managing household budgets
Very well.
efficiently. They know how to save. They know how to make every penny work more, work harder. They're sitting on savings, worth billions of dollars sitting in fixed deposits and gold. So, who could be a better audience than women to really financialize one, that saving, but also an entire segment which has not been addressed? So, it was literally like ground zero. This is great. We can begin here. As a woman, coming with the knowledge, with the deep understanding of how markets work, I've always believed if there's anybody who can address this audience, it is me.
Yeah.
And then understanding behavior, and then sort of creating that platform according to them. So again, I think within Anand Rathi, we are family led, but we are professionally run
Yeah.
as a company. It was time for me to actually
Take a step back.
take a step ahead rather
Ahead, yeah.
and say, okay, let's do something
Else.
new. And this was one of the best opportunities. It's been on my mind for the last many years. I think the timing had to be right.
Yeah.
The fact that data penetration, smartphone, digitization, democratization of investments, and then demonetization was that one big event that showed us that women are sitting on money.
Lot of money.
Right? So I think all of this, while the thought was there, but the timing was just right to say, okay, now is when I really want to set this up. And that's how the whole Lakshmi idea and then work on it came about.
Nice. So tell us a little bit more about your app. What can women really sort of gain from being a part of your community? Can they really make any investments on the app? How does it all work?
So I think one, we started as an investment app, but today we are a money platform for women. And this goes back to saying that, we thought the only problem women had was investing, that they are not investing. But I think women, right from, saving to investing to borrowing, they face challenges everywhere.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they suffer from time poverty. So most women you'll see are either doing, if you ask them, do you have any financial app on your phone? It'll either be a payments app or a banking app.
Yeah.
Right? So there's not, and the reason they don't have, for example, an investment app or a borrowing app is because there is time poverty. I can only do so much.
Yeah.
So the need is there, the time is less. So we said, okay, we have a money platform that will solve all your, money challenges and open up all the opportunities around it. So today on a Lakshmi app, a woman can come, firstly, break down that fear, that wall of doubt that she has in herself by just engaging with many, many women like her. So it's community led. Peer conversations have always been very powerful for us women. I remember that when I had my first child, the doctor may have said, feed her this, don't feed her this, do this, don't do this. But invariably, I went to my community of friends.
Yeah.
How did you do it? What did you do? Right. And that was a more powerful motivator and guider for me.
Yeah.
And that is the same thesis that we've used in Lakshmi, where peer to peer conversations are very enriching, where women come and talk money. We supplement it with a lot of learning. We do a lot of live sessions. We do a lot of gamified fun learning. So we've taken away that money is boring, finance is boring. We've taken that away, right? We've made it fun. And you learn in that fun way. And from there, once you've learned, a woman is able to make an informed decision on investing. So she can go and invest her money across mutual funds, because in my experience, managing wealth for so many years, mutual funds are the simplest and the most effective way for any person to manage their money.
It doesn't matter how much money you want to invest. I feel like mutual funds are for everyone, so long as you know where to invest, which fund to invest.
Absolutely. So we've made that decision making also simpler. So when she wants to invest, she doesn't spend time thinking, oh my God, I have to choose through so many mutual funds. We made that very simple for her. So again, time efficient. And then, of course, as she invests her money, access to credit, where a large part of the middle income India doesn't have access to credit because she's never reached out. Banks don't entertain her.
So these are personal loans?
These are personal loans which she can access. And now the aim is to make it more and more effective. For example, child education loans, because that's where women actually put their money towards when they save their money.
Most of these women are saving for children's
That's the topmost goal.
Yeah.
So that's how we've come together. And of course, there is the whole savings piece, which is very critical for women, where we have savings challenges, where we say, okay, most women said, how do we invest? We don't save. And we're like, it's easy to save 100 rupees, right?
Yeah.
So we run these challenges where they're able to save small amounts of money every day. So it's again gamified.
So 100 rupees, did you just say 100
It could be it's fun, right? It could be anywhere beginning 100 rupees.
Okay.
And it's literally
but if someone wanted to invest 100 rupees, they would be able to do that.
Absolutely. Wow. So we've realized that no matter how much money I have, but as a woman, I want to make my first few steps. I want to take measured steps. And I say this all the time, that women are, very risk aware. They will not jump into something without understanding, especially when it comes to money. If you do this exercise and you say, okay, this is a great opportunity, put in 1,000 rupees to both men and women, majority of the men will say, yeah, okay, I'm going to try it. But the women will say, okay, where is this money going to go? Tell me when I get it back. What is the risk involved in it? They will ask these questions.
Yeah.
So they want to take small steps, guarded steps. But once they've built that, so once she's begun with 100 rupees, 200, 500,000, then she quickly sort of then builds her AUMs across different portfolios that we have. So democratizing that, making it easy to take, removing that obstacle from that first step. Making it time efficient. So today a woman can do everything money. And when I say everything, in a few months, actually everything around money. So as we grow, I think we're listening to our community. We're listening to what women want. We have, close to now 800,000 women on the app. And they tell us, okay, this is the next thing. Oh, why don't you solve for this? Okay. So they've actually become our product managers. So helping us. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So one of the things that we also do is a lot of support, because we've realized women hand-holding is very important, because you don't want them to start a journey and then get nervous and say, oh my God, we really help them make that informed decision that if you're investing in equities, this will happen. But even then, I think it's always good to sort of send that information.
Absolutely. It's good to be proactive in that sense. I honestly feel like that.
Always.
Before they come to you asking, yaar, ye kya ho raha hai, you tell them ki this is happening.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just
And also for us, it's important
ride
to
the wave. Yeah.
create this safe space for them
Yeah.
where
yeah.
they feel that I am being looked after.
Yeah.
I'm not on my own here,
Yeah.
which is the most important thing that we do in Lakshmi, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So empathy is really the underlying of everything that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, Preeti, you mentioned digitization, technology, democratization. How does all of this actually help women, and how does it change the relationship of the wealth advisor with the woman?
Great question. And I think this is where the opportunity was. Today, you can use technology to really hyper personalize a offering for a customer, and it is across sectors. It could be e-commerce, it could be financial services, it could be health, all of it, right? The fact that you can reach out using technology uh, through just a smartphone to a woman who is actually wary of talking to a financial advisor, who will never even go to a bank because she's, intimidated by the whole piece. And through that smartphone, through your app, you can actually talk to her. You can make her learn. You can then, based on her questions and her needs, understand and then create a personalized program for her. Literally, like, what a wealth manager would do for a HNI customer. Exactly the same solution at a lower cost, because you don't need the number of resources that one would need, because if it was really wealth, it's never been done, because it's not that you can't scale it up
Yeah,
like that.
you need that personal sort of connection.
Correct. So all of this, right? The fact that, through the digital medium, you're able to do that. The fact that you're able to give a solution which doesn't have to be a 10 crore, 20 crore solution. It can be a 1,000 rupee solution, right? So democratize it for them to say, yes, you can start an asset allocated financial journey based on your persona, based on your needs, based on your liabilities, your financial goals. Do this. I mean, I think it's an incredible opportunity, and more so for women, because for them, going out and speaking to a financial advisor has always been challenging. I still remember in Anand Rathi when we reached out and we were sort of across our branches, moving people from active trading to financial advisory, because we realized that our aim is to create wealth for people. And trading, there's now enough data around it, including the SEBI report, which says 9 out of 10 people actually lose money. So when we did that, I actually didn't see a single woman. There were hardly very few women who would come up and say that I want to manage my money, or I want to understand. And then that's where the seed of the fact that there needs to be a separate offering for women, which makes them feel comfortable, which makes them feel safe. The fact that today on an app you can be with a community of lakhs of women is something that you cannot create in a physical environment. The fact that I can reach out to many, many women, like me, get their feedback, get their opinion, or understand from their experience, is again all because of digital mediums. So really bringing the best of what digital has to offer, and creating a value proposition for every woman in this country, where she feels that, yes, I have somebody who's looking after me.
Yeah, I'm being heard.
That's why, and that's how we're solving for it. And all of these pieces have been probably the tipping point for us. Had we not had smartphones, if we didn't have digitization, if mutual funds were not available to be, to invest
Small
at 100
amounts,
rupees,
yeah.
we would never have been able to create this value proposition.
Absolutely. So you said something really amazing where your Lakshmi community are your product managers.
Right.
So, that led me to think that you guys are in the process of building something interesting, something new. Can you sort of give it away, or are you waiting for it to be launched officially?
Yeah, we're just waiting for it to be launched officially. But, I think the word community is used and misused a lot. Everybody wants to build a community. Everybody says we have a community, right? And And again, because you are also building a community, you understand that building a community is not, it needs a lot of TLC, tender loving care, right? And you have to put the community first.
Absolutely.
It has taken us 3 years to build a community of women where the culture is embedded very deeply, where women feel that Lakshmi is their own. We have women on the
Safe
community
space.
safe space, and they actually come and say that, as long as I'm alive, I'm going to be on Lakshmi, because I know I'm being looked after. I know this is my platform. The feeling of, saying this is mine. And which is why they come to us and they say, I have an idea. Can we do this? Which is why they are like, we have product managers there where they come back and they say, listen, this is a great idea. So, yes, building, we've already built a platform which is unique. If you look at Lakshmi, it's got the feel of an FMCG, like an e-commerce platform, where we've taken away the fear, we've taken the boringness out, we've made it very relatable, and also unique. For example, I think if you look across all BFSI platforms or apps, I don't think you'll have anyone that offers something known as a vision board,
Yeah.
right? Because as women, we believe in manifesting.
Yeah.
I was very young when my mother used to put, she had this aspiration of having a house with a balcony. And she had this picture that was put on her cupboard,
Oh, so
So
cute.
every time she opened the cupboard, that picture was there. And I see that all the time, that we are in our mind manifesting this,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And today on Lakshmi, every woman can come and put up her financial dream, her goal, her dreams. And then we've
Walk
given
towards it.
and actionable towards it,
Yeah.
that if this is your dream home, it's a dream car, or your child's dream university, uh, don't leave it at a dream. Now you have a path to achieving it.
Yeah.
So we actually connect those dots for her to say, okay, I can achieve this, which is again a very unique offering. And this is all, or everything that we learn from our community and our women. And I think a lot of credit for what we are on Lakshmi is to our women.
Amazing. So I've heard you mention that reckless growth is not good for any business. What do you do towards making sure that this is a sustainable business model that you're building at Lakshmi?
Absolutely. I think, first of all, the fact that we are building for women itself makes it a very sustainable business.
Yeah,
venture.
you just mentioned that half the population in India is now, more than half is women. So
Absolutely. And so here's the thing, the reason that people did not build for women so far is because acquiring a woman customer in the way that people do it traditionally is a very expensive affair, right? We've broken that and we've said, okay, now we've created a platform where women come onto the platform, even if it's because of community or because their friends have said this is something that you need to know or you need to be at. So we've addressed and solved for those problems. But what people have not realized is that women are very profitable customers. Women are sticky. They, once they've, if I have decided I want to save money to buy a house, come rain, come hail, come storm, I will put
Save
that
it.
money every month if I have to.
yeah.
Right? So they are very disciplined. They're very sticky customers. Women don't go around shopping for
Yeah.
this platform. Okay, is this cheaper? Is that better? Because they
I feel like it's about the comfort.
it is the
If-
comfort. And I think if they've understood that the intent behind that platform is really they are the center of everything that we are building. So that confidence of saying I'm in a place that I can trust and I can feel very safe, then she is very happy to do all things money here. And I think that's what makes this, Lakshmi a very sort of sustainable business model, right? And then also remember that when we talk to women, we're not just talking to women, we're talking to families. Every woman who's doing her journey here, her daughter is seeing her son is seeing her, right?
And that is very important. I feel like, I know that you mentioned also that, you started investing at a very early age because your dad sort of,
Right.
was encouraging of it, wanted you to start managing
Yeah.
the family wealth. I come from a very similar sort of thinking where my mom was, with my first salary, she forced me to invest it. She was like, this is
Wow.
all going into mutual funds. And I was like, no, I want to go out, like, I want to treat my friends and I want to buy you guys something. And she was like, side say, I'll give you some money, you do all this with that.
Correct.
But this is being invested. And I have seen her do that for my family portfolio as well.
Correct.
So I feel like it's something that's sort of, I don't know, embedded at a very early age.
Yes.
And when young women or young girls see their mums being so invested, being so, involved in money matters, it's only going to make them more capable.
Absolutely. And the unfortunate part is that financial education is not part of early years education or college
Any curriculum,
education or
any
any
curriculum,
curriculum,
any.
right? I may become an engineer, but I'm not given financial education.
Exactly. Which is why the
And
most number of people that we talk to are doctors and engineers, because they have no idea. They're like,
yeah,
they're just like, where do we start?
correct. And this is actually also the root cause of why women get left behind. We, for example, if it was a subject that was taught in school to both boys and girls, I think the explicit messaging would be that this is gender neutral.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to do it. But unfortunately, we learn it when we grow up. We learn, looking at people.
people
And
around
if in
us.
our house we've seen only our father manage, if the implicit messaging is that boys have to do this, then as a girl, it sort of, subconsciously sets in my mind that I don't have to do this. I don't need to know this, or it's not for me to do, or it's, men do it better.
Or like my dad will do it. Or my
Correct.
brother will do it.
Somebody will do it. And probably it is not my cup of tea. And I think that's where the problem really begins. But really making this a household conversation. I mean, we have some amazing stories. So we do this IP called Women of Lakshmi, very inspired by Humans of Bombay. And we said we should know what is happening with women who actually start investing. There was a woman who lost her husband. And, she said, I was in a mess. I didn't know what to do. And this was during the COVID times. And we actually, on our community, sort of handheld hundreds of women who'd either lost their brother, father, husband, whoever was managing the money, particularly their partner, the spouse. And we helped them through, looking through financial documents, figuring out where the money is, where the investments are, and aligning it.
Wow.
And this one woman said that, had it not been for Lakshmi, I would not know, what to
Anything,
do.
yeah.
Like, where is the money, how to come back and stand on my feet. And she says the day my daughters started going to college, they also started like a, a side job. And I said, every month, 20% of whatever you earn has to go into your future. And she's saying, my girls have seen me and now they do it diligently. So absolutely right, the way you said. I think, learning from their parents, learning from their mothers and, fathers, of course. But I think high time that today mothers become also the, the torch bearers for family finances.
Absolutely.
So yeah, absolutely. So this is, for us, it's a huge community flywheel, where it's women, it's families, it's children. We even do sessions for children, by the way.
Oh, really?
Because we feel it's very important, what's missing, we will supplement it. And women are very keen to get their children educated financially.
That's amazing.
We have women saying, listen, my child only wants to spend because all his friends are spending money. So wants the latest shoes, wants this, and I'm not.
In today's day and age, it's become like that only.
Yeah, there's so much pressure. So we do right from the age of, 6 to up till 18. We do financial literacy sessions throughout the year.
That's great. That's great to know. So I know that you love building businesses, building things. Is there something interesting that you're working on that you can tell us about?
As of now, I think Lakshmi is
It.
And it's a, what we want, what we are aiming and what we're taking it towards is really the next sort of couple of $1 billion company, because rightly, given the opportunity. But also, I think within it, it's not just about building valuations. It's about building it, creating shared value for everybody. in the ecosystem, all stakeholders, particularly, people who are part of the Lakshmi team. And as we grow as a team, all our community members, I think what we want is that as we go along, and this again comes back to your question of sustainability, where it is my strong belief that in the future, the companies that will survive are the ones that are creating shared value, because that's the competitive edge, where you're not just thinking about promoter valuations, you're not thinking about just promoters making wealth or your investors making wealth, but you're thinking, I mean, we are in the business of creating wealth, of course, for our users,
Yeah.
but also for women or our community, people in our teams. I think that's the way we really want to go about, with a very clear north star of having the right ethics, right intent,
Yeah.
towards, and which is why if you look at the platform, we've really taken away all of the traditional quintessential incentive driven structures where people can, we've taken away the fact that nobody can missell anything to
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah. Easy money making sort of hacks.
Because absolutely, we want our women to do it the right way. We want them to create wealth. I think if our first milestone is to have 100 million women manage their money. And when 100 million women take charge of their money, it's 400 to 500 million Indians that are impacted.
Wow.
And that means a
A lot.
large part of our world, right?
It is.
So that's where I think right now that's all. But within Lakshmi, there's a lot that we're doing.
Okay.
Very soon, maybe March or April, we'll announce something very interesting, very exciting, which will help connect the dots for women between saving, budgeting, investing, and borrowing.
Amazing, amazing. So now I'm going to ask you a little bit about how you manage your own personal finances. What is your approach to that? And are there any sort of strategies that you swear by?
Well, I think the first thing is that I've understood that you need to keep your investment strategy very simple. When I say simple, it means, in such a way that it needs probably, maybe a day of the month at max, not even that, a few hours of the month. You don't spread thin across many products. You consolidate it, you keep it across, for example, my entire portfolio, and which is what is there on Lakshmi as well. It's invested only across equity, debt, and gold. 80% of my portfolio is in mutual funds, because we found that's the most powerful way to, let your money grow, because you have experts working on your money. So for me, I think the first thing has always been keeping it simple. The second has been that, work out your financial goals. I feel a lot of people, and as you get more affluent, people try and think, oh, I want this return, I want that return. And it becomes a game of where will I get the highest return. But really, if you can align it to your financial goals, and then work backwards and say, okay, this is where my money should go. It is no rocket science to know that the higher the return, the higher is the risk.
Absolutely.
Right? So which part of your portfolio, or what percentage of your portfolio are you willing to sort of
risk.
take that higher risk? You have to be very clear on, right? So that's the second bit. The third is I think the one thing that we always do is we discuss our money management, our portfolios together as a family. I find that very important, because it's like, you have a car which cannot run on just one wheel. All four wheels need to move together.
Yeah.
So everybody in the family needs to know what are our financial goals, aims, what do we work towards. I always say this even more vehemently, because most families in India, it is always the male members who are discussing wealth management or money management. And I think, one, the women are not aligned. They are not aware. Second, their financial goals are never
The same.
captured, and
Yeah.
they're never captured. So it's very important to, it's funny that these are funny anecdotes I've had, where men have said, but why does, a woman need to, like, why does she need to manage money? I've had questions where, okay, men have said, I don't think I want to share the entire portfolio with my wife. And I'm like, if you do, she will really understand the power of saving and investing even better. She will align even better with your goals.
Absolutely.
So
It's
I
not
think,
like she's going to take all the money and spend it. That's
correct.
ridiculous.
But the bright spot in all of this is, I think the new generation, the millennials, the Gen Z, they are very keen. They, the men, the boys want the girls to be their wives or partners to be equally involved.
Yeah.
Which is great, and which is where I feel, which is, where we will as a country be going, where Lakshmi then plays a very important part.
Yeah.
But I think these three are the fundamental pieces that I look at when I look at my money management strategy. So the fourth pillar, of course, of my investment strategy is asset allocation, where I know where I'm, which buckets my money will go into, and I make sure that that is literally like by the Bible. We will play it by the rule and say asset allocation. If equity markets go up, then we know, that money has to, at that point in time, be asset allocated between debt and equity in the proportion that we've decided as per our goals. So I swear by that. For that, it's very important to be informed about what's happening in the world. And COVID is a classic example. The whole world, when they got nervous, when markets fell, I think that's where you take a slightly tactical shift towards your portfolio and say, okay, I'm willing to, move the needle towards the situational episode right now and say, okay, I know markets have fallen and I know that this is the time to invest higher into equity.
Correct.
So that's something that really excites me. So doing, really seizing that opportunity. And the fifth bit is never allowing emotions to come into any of my investment strategies. Every time that happens, fear and greed, markets run on those, but your investment should not run on those.
Absolutely.
That I'm very clear about.
That's amazing. These are such helpful strategies for all our viewers. But you mentioned one thing, which is that the markets are dynamic, the economy is dynamic, everything around us is situational. How does an investor then get confidence about when and how to invest? Because suddenly now, if you see, the markets have corrected. Investors may panic, investors may feel like, what is going on? I need to withdraw money from my portfolio. Very few will add money at this time.
Right.
The few that are adding money also might be thinking that, chalo, aur girne wala hai, to ruk jaun, kya karu? So it's a little bit dynamic.
Yeah.
So for a layman or the average investor, how would you sort of handhold them?
So I think the first thing that we always tell everybody is that investing is not equivalent to timing the markets. Investing is equal to your financial goals. So first set up your financial goals. Based on that, do your asset allocation and just start investing. You cannot wait for markets to go higher, lower, whatever. If people knew that, then there would be just a few millionaires and billionaires in the world and the rest of us would be poor people.
Yeah.
Right? So timing the markets is the worst thing that one can aim to do. And actually, if you look at data, if you look at statistics, only 5% of your returns are dependent
On market timing.
Right? 95% of the quality of your returns are dependent on the right asset allocation. So that's where you should be spending your time. Right? So firstly, if you want to begin investing, begin now. Don't leave it for a later time. Markets will go down. If they're going down, they'll go further down, etc. If you're already invested, stick to the game plan.
Yeah.
Right? This is what determines a good investor from a not so good investor, is that I am on this path. I'm going to follow it. It's pretty much like following a diet, which is what we tell our women, that you are following if you're following a diet, it could be for weight loss, weight gain, for better health. This is what you have to do. People may bring foods that are not allowed in your diet in front of you. That's what determines your ability to stick to the plan. Do you trip and do you say, okay, let me eat it? Or do you say, no, I know what I'm doing and I'm going to continue doing this, right? And that's what we encourage. That's what our messaging, when markets fall, we will handhold our women on the platform to say this is the nature of markets. This is going to happen. But this is the time that you keep your cool. And in fact, keep monitoring your asset allocation, because your asset allocation will tell you that now is the time to increase money.
Yeah.
Add on money to your equities. And that's the only rule that you should follow. Everything else, cut out the noise. Unfortunately, market movements now cause so much noise.
Yeah.
Whether it's the television channels around us, whether it's everybody
Apps.
giving gyan,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, markets, this is level, tomorrow it's going to rise, this is going to happen. But that's
It's an
not your
information overload. Actually.
that's the
Yeah.
analyst's job. It's not an investor's job to keep a track on that, right? I give this example all the time. Why is it just in stock markets? Why in real estate? If you've bought a house, do you wake up every morning and say,
Check
oh,
the
what's
price.
today the price has fallen, let me go sell my house? Right? You don't do that. So this investing is in stock markets is exactly like that. You just invest as per your goals. Once your goals are achieved, that's the time you think of whether you want to invest more, remove, invest somewhere else.
Yeah.
But till then, steadily just be on that path.
Yeah.
And it's a simple tactic that has worked over the years and will continue to work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no taking away from the fact that today, diversification, which is asset allocation, is the fundamental strategy that you need to set and keep going on. Nothing else will really get you there. Nothing else matters. That's all. And which is why I keep saying it is so simple. Investing is so simple.
Yeah.
Right? The only effort you have to make is to learn and say, okay, how do I personalize this to myself?
Correct.
And then you are on it, and keep that discipline.
I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree more. Just the last couple of questions. If there was one financial instrument that could be a part of anyone's portfolio, what do you think that is?
Obviously, a mutual fund.
Yeah.
Right? And I think an equity mutual fund. I feel, and a lot of people shy away from putting money into equity. But as a country that has fairly decent inflation levels, the only instrument or the only asset that will beat this inflation is equity.
Consistently.
Consistently, yeah, over a long term.
Long term, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And therefore, you have to put money into equity. And the best way to do it is to do it via mutual funds.
So this brings me to my last question. What is one piece of advice that you would give someone who is on the verge of beginning their investment journey?
Well, I think there are a few pieces of advice that I would give. And I think the idea is to look at it, first of all, to go out there and learn. Do it for yourself. And for that, you need to have some understanding of how you need to go about it. So, of course, come to the Lakshmi platform. We do it all the time. But firstly, begin as early as you can. Doesn't matter if you begin small. I think beginning early is more important to retire richer than it is to begin with large sums of amounts. So people who can start as soon as they start earning is when they create a larger corpus for themselves. So begin as soon as you can. And today, like I said, you can begin with 100 rupees, right? Start with at least 20% of your earnings, put it aside towards your savings. Statistically, that will create a decent amount of corpus for you. Second, get yourself an insurance. It's something that we as Indians always undermine. And
Very
insurance
important.
is the most important thing because it's that risk cover. It safeguards all your investments. Tomorrow, God forbid, a medical illness, you get hospitalized, all of that, you don't want to pay from your savings.
Yeah.
You want to take that risk cover. A lot of people don't take it because it's like, oh my God, am I going to pay a few thousand rupees every year for that? But when you go out in the rain, you take an umbrella. When you start investment, you definitely take
Get
the insurance, right? So that's the second must do. Third, like I said, look at asset allocation. Today with 1,000 rupees, based on your age, you can simply start with, if you're 20, maybe put 800 rupees in equity and 200 rupees between debt and gold. It's very doable through mutual funds. start your journey with mutual funds. If learning about stocks is interesting for you, it gives you that thrill, please learn. But don't wait that only when I learn I will start. Begin with mutual funds because it's already there. You have experts managing it. And stick to that discipline. Cut out all the noise. Your money, your financial goals, you know it best. Nobody can know your life better than you do.
Yeah, that's why it's called personal finance.
Absolutely. Rightly so. So these are the few things that I can always, I always advise anybody who's about to start their journey.
Amazing. This was such a great conversation, Preeti, and I'm so, so happy that we did this.
Glad, and I think first of all, I think women talking money itself is very interesting, very exciting. But I think normalizing money conversations, gender neutral, is where we should be headed towards. Money is an enabler. Money is a hygiene check in everybody's life. Creating your financial security is as important for every individual. I always say this that for the next 20 years, it'll probably be more important for women
Yeah.
because we have gender pay gap, we have different life stages. So it's even more important. I think it's very important for men to be a part of that conversation where they enable their mothers, sisters, daughters. They empower them, they actually nudge them to do this journey. Life is ephemeral, and every person should work out their financial security themselves. So,
Great. That's such
pleasure.
a wonderful note that you've left us on. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be here, and looking forward to a lot more together.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Super.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you for having me. Hi, I'm Preeti Rathi Gupta. I'm the founder of Lakshmi. I've had the most interesting conversation with the Fin Cocktail podcast. I really want you to listen to it, like, share, subscribe. It's a conversation that every person needs to hear. Thank you.